baseball through the decades. Watch to find out how baseball got started, the game's rules, greatest players, and more. Researched and presented by Zachary. Baseball's origins, 1800 through 1899. In Cooperstown, New York, in the summer of 1839, Abner Doubleday invented baseball, a game where there are two teams of 9 players. The offense hits a ball that the pitcher throws, and the defense has to field the ball and get the runner out at first base, second base, third base, or home plate. Rules of the game. The infield fly rule was created in 1895. It was created because teams would purposely fail to catch the pop-up so they could make a double play. The new rule, aka the rule that you can't plow into the catcher, was created because many runners would run into home and gain speed so they could plow into the catcher. These players did this because they could get the catcher to drop the ball. They created this rule because many catchers would get injured even with their gear. When pitchers do their windup and don't throw the pitch, it's called a balk. Baseball stars in the 1800s. Cap Anson, hitter, 1876. Buck Ewing, catcher, 1880. Willie Keeler, designated hitter, 1890. Cy Young, pitcher, 1893. And Honus Wagner, shortstop, 1897. The first World Series. The first World Series was played on October 1st, 1903, between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Boston Red Sox. The winner was the Red Sox with 5-3. Baseball, 1900 through 1930. The 1900s were a big time for baseball because of the breaking of the color barrier, the curse of the Red Sox, and more. In the 1910s, the greatest players were Joe Jackson, Joe Wood, Walter Johnson, Tris Speaker, Eddie Collins, and Wally Schang. In the 20s, the greatest players were Rogers Hornsby, Ty Cobb, and Dazzy Vance. The Great Bambino. In the 1920s, the greatest player of all time came into baseball. The Great Bambino, also known as George Herman Ruth. The Great Bambino started playing for the Baltimore Orioles. Then he got traded to the Red Sox. When the Babe got traded from Boston to New York, the curse of the Red Sox started. They would never win a World Series for 86 years. With Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig on the Yankees, they would crush the other teams. The cold shot. The 1930s was the time that Babe Ruth was hitting it out of the ballpark, the time that the biggest baseball mystery was going on. In the World Series of 1932, at Wrigley Field, Babe Ruth called his shot. Some people say he did. Some people said it's a legend. Who knows? But if you saw it in person, you could tell if Babe Ruth called his shot or not. The 1930s. In the 1930s, Joe DiMaggio started playing baseball for the New York Yankees, and he could hit like Lou Gehrig. Other baseball stars in the 1930s were Mel Ott, who scored 308 home runs, Lefty Grove, Archie Bagon, and Red Wolf. On May 25, 1935, Babe Ruth hit his 714th home run at Ford Field in Pittsburgh, PA. 1940 through 1950. The great baseball players of the 1940s are Joe DiMaggio and Stan Musial. Joe DiMaggio had the longest hitting streak in baseball history. Stan Musial was on the All-Decade team with Bob Feller pitcher, Ted Williams outfield, Lou Boudreau shortstop, Whitey Kurowski third base, Joe Gordon second base, Johnny Mize first base, and Ernie Lombardi catcher. 1950 through 1960. The home run king, Hank Aaron, broke broke Babe Ruth's record on April 8, 1974. Roberto Clemente was also a great player in the 50s. He played for the Pirates and could throw from right field to third base. Other baseball stars of this decade include Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, Mickey Mantle, and Jackie Robinson. Willie Mays. In the 1950s, little did the Giants know, but they were about to get one of the best outfielders ever, Willie Mays. He was a great hitter and fielder. He could throw fast and catch almost anything. He was fast too. Willie Mays was a great player all around. The color barrier. The color barrier breaker, Jackie Robinson, was the guy to break the color barrier in baseball. With his triples and his great speed, he was sure to get the fans to love him. At first, the crowd hated Jackie. Jackie wanted to yell mean things back at the crowd, but then he thought, I don't want to get thrown out, so he didn't fight back. Instead, he used his skill to win over the crowd. When Jackie got up to bat, crack! It's a triple. The crowd cheers and the barrier broke. 1960 through 1970. The 1960s was the time that the fans saw Pete Rose. His hit count just went up and up until it reached 4,256 hits. It had broken Ty Cobb's record. Pete Rose became a baseball star and made it to the Hall of Fame, but was later taken out of the Hall of Fame because he was betting on games he was in control of. Mays was still playing center field as good as ever, with Hank Aaron hitting better than ever. The National League would surely be undefeated. 1970 through 1980. Here comes George Brett, Willie Stargell, and Reggie Jackson. It's a big time for baseball in the 70s when Willie Stargell hit an amazing 296 home runs. The Pirates fans were going crazy for Willie's homers. Third baseman George Brett was an excellent hitter with 3,154 hits. He was Kansas' prized possession till Bo Jackson came around. 1980 through 1990. In the 1980s, one of the fastest players of all time, Rickey Henderson, came around. Also, Dave Winfield was a great right fielder in the 80s. Rickey Henderson was also a great fielder and hitter with 3,055 hits and 297 home runs. But Dave Winfield had more with a home run count of 465 home runs. Also, in this decade, this author's favorite player, Nolan Ryan, becomes a better pitcher, throwing a 100-mile-per-hour fastball. 1990 through 2000. During the 1990s, the Killer Bees came to Pittsburgh. Barry Bonds, Jay Bell, and Bobby Bonilla. They all played for the Pirates together at one point, and they were amazing hitters. The Rays were also lucky to get Fred McGriff. The Cubs got Sammy Sosa, the Phillies got Curt Schilling, and the Mariners got Ken Griffey Jr. But one of the biggest players of the 1990s was Derek Jeter. In 1990, Nolan Ryan pitched his sixth no-hitter out of his 7 total. 2000 through 2010. When the 2000s started, baseball had some great hitters. Alex Rodriguez, Albert Pujols, Jason Giambi, Manny Ramirez, Vladimir Guerrero, and Sammy Sosa. David Ortiz was in the bunch too. A great fielder at the time was Derek Jeter, who was a great shortstop and a great hitter. The curse-breaking team. The most important event of 2004 was when the Boston Red Sox finally broke the curse. It had been 86 years since they had won a World Series. The starting lineup of the curse-breaking team was Curt Schilling, David Ortiz, Manny Ramirez, Dave Roberts, Nomar Garciaparra, Kevin Youkilis, and more. These players are special because they broke the curse of the Red Sox. Some people call it the curse of the Bambino. 2004 will go down in history as a great moment for the Red Sox. The 2018 Dodgers. A great team in 2018 was the Dodgers, with Clayton Kershaw's killer curveball and Justin Turner and Cody Bellinger's hits and homers. They should have been unbeatable, but no. In the World Series of 2018, the Red Sox beat the Dodgers. 2010 through 2020. In the 2010s, many great hitters and pitchers came around, like Andrew McCutchen, Aaron Judge, Josh Bell, Cody Bellinger, Bryce Harper, Mookie Betts, Clayton Kershaw, and Mariano Rivera, just to name a few. These are my citations. I hope you liked my presentation about baseball through the decades. Make sure to like and subscribe.